TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donation. Shalom ve'erev tov, good evening. Welcome to our daily TV7 Israel News Bulletin broadcast from Jerusalem. The United States and Israel launch a decisive campaign to end the tyrannical Ayatollah regime in Iran. The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps launches indiscriminate ballistic missile fire towards civilian neighborhoods across the Arabian Gulf and Israel. And Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam announces Beirut's decision to outlaw Hezbollah's military wing after the Iranian proxy violates the terms of the ceasefire with Israel, drawing Lebanon into war. The United States and Israeli militaries are systemically degrading military installations and regime infrastructure of the Islamic Republic of Iran, while the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps engages in deliberate and indiscriminate fire towards Gulf countries and the State of Israel. Following consecutive meetings by Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi on Friday in Washington, in which he attempted to convince the U.S. administration to accept a nuclear deal similar to the one that was achieved by the Obama administration in 2015, namely the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, which falls short from American demands on all accounts, U.S. President Donald Trump has taken the decisive decision to launch an attack against the Ayatollah regime in Iran.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries.
The first strike was taken at approximately 9:45 a.m. local time Tehran by over 200 Israel Air Force aircraft and another 100 U.S. Air Force aircraft against hundreds of targets simultaneously, to include a high-level meeting headed by the Islamic Republic Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, eliminating the tyrant alongside some 4 senior regime officials. Subsequently, the United States Air Force and Navy launched hundreds of additional strikes, devastating much of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps' own Navy and its command and control infrastructure, as well as surface-to-air capabilities across the country.
We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been a long-time proponent of the need to bring an end to the radical Islamic tyrants in Tehran, underscored the unprecedented collaboration between the United States and Israeli militaries.
We are in a campaign in which we are bringing the full strength of the IDF to the battle, as never before, in order to ensure our existence and our future. But we are also bringing to this campaign the assistance of the United States, my friend, U.S. President Donald Trump, and the U.S. military. This coalition of forces allows us to do what I have yearned to do for 40 years, smite the terror regime hip and thigh. This is what I promised, and this is what we shall do.
The Prime Minister continued by highlighting the expectation for attacks against the Ayatollah regime and its terror arms to intensify as time progresses.
I have just finished a meeting with the Minister of Defense, the IDF Chief of Staff, and the Director of the Mossad. I have given instructions for the continuation of the campaign. Our forces are now striking at the heart of Tehran with increasing intensity, and this will only continue to escalate further over the coming days. And yet, these are painful days. My heart goes out to the families, and on behalf of all of you, citizens of Israel, I send my wishes for a speedy recovery to the wounded.
At least 10 Israelis were killed by the RGC's indiscriminate ballistic missiles fire thus far, with one Israeli woman losing her life on Saturday when shrapnel from an intercepted ballistic missile struck a residential building in the city of Tel Aviv. Separately, in the city of Beit Shemesh, on Sunday, at least 9 people lost their lives in one single strike on a residential building. Israeli leaders visited the site of the deadly attack, to include Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid, who asserted that all of Israel stands united behind Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the security forces in the fight against the terror regime in Tehran.
I just came back from a security briefing with the Prime Minister in which I've told him the entire state of Israel is behind our security forces and the government. In this war. It's a just war against a vicious enemy, and we are also thankful and full of admiration to the leadership of President Trump on the issue. And on top of this, we came here to Beit Shemesh to tell the people of Beit Shemesh we are with you as well.
Lapid continued by stressing his hope for the people of Iran to gain their freedom, while highlighting further 2 immediate objectives which Israel seeks to achieve.
We wish well the people of Iran, we are going to, if possible, we will help them get rid of this terror organization that pretends to be the regime of Iran. Well, I would say there are 2 immediate goals, which is getting rid of the ballistic missile program and getting rid of the nuclear program, and to make it possible, just to create the conditions for the people of Iran to determine their future and to get rid of this horrible regime in return for freedom and justice for all.
It is important to know that while Iran's proxies had failed to join the war against Israel and the United States until yesterday, the Lebanese Iranian proxy Hezbollah miscalculated overnight when it launched 6 projectiles towards Israeli territory. Consequently, the IDF launched a decisive response.
Hezbollah opened fire yesterday and knew what it was doing. We warned it, and it will pay a heavy price. We are prepared, well prepared. We have mobilized close to 100,000 reservists. Dozens of battalions, divisions, and brigades are prepared along the northern border for both defense and offensive. All possibilities are on the table. We are conducting situation assessments, and all possibilities are on the table. We attacked dozens of the organization's headquarters and launch sites. We attacked senior commanders, some of the last surviving senior veterans of this organization. We are currently examining the results of the attack. At the end of the first wave of attacks, we issued an evacuation notice for more than 50 villages in Lebanon, in which terrorist infrastructure sites is located, which serves Hezbollah terrorists. These we will attack later.
IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir visited Northern Command earlier today, during the course of which he announced preparations for a high-intensity offensive.
We have launched an offensive campaign against Hezbollah. We are not only operating defensively, we are now going on the offensive as well. We must prepare for many prolonged days of combat ahead. This requires strong defensive readiness and sustained offensive readiness, operating in continuous waves while constantly utilizing opportunities.
It is important to underscore that Hezbollah had claimed responsibility for the rocket fire toward Israeli territory. Meanwhile, in a desperate attempt to salvage the year-long ceasefire, and particularly in light of the expected intensification of Israel's offensive measures against Hezbollah, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun convened an emergency meeting of his government in Beirut, after which Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam announced that Beirut outlaws Hezbollah's security and military activities effective immediately.
تعلن دولة لبنانية رفضها المطلق.
The Lebanese state declares its absolute rejection, leaving no room for any ambiguity or interpretation of any military or security actions launched from the Lebanese territory outside the framework of its legitimate institutions. It affirms that the decision of war and peace is exclusively in its hands, which necessitates the immediate prohibition of all Hezbollah security and military activities as being outside the law, and obliging it to hand over its weapons to the Lebanese state.
بتسليم سلاحه إلى الدولة اللبنانية.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News, which is made possible by the generosity of our viewers just like yourself. Please pray for the American and Israeli forces operating currently against the Islamic Republic in Iran. Pray also for the Iranian people themselves, that they may gain courage to rise up against the tyrannical Ayatollah regime in Tehran. And please also pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.